Hey guys, how is it going? Merced here from BrandJet, and I wanted to do a quick walkthrough over a tier list breakdown over the different cold outreach and cold sequencing tools that are on the market. Now, there are so many of them these days that it can become hard to pick and choose which ones are best and which ones are kind of just, gimmicky. I've used most of these tools here, and this is my breakdown over what I think works best, especially given the strategies that work best in 2026. Now, starting off, we're going to go with a cold LinkedIn outreach tool, and the most famous one, which is HeyReach. I'm going to have to put HeyReach in B tier now. HeyReach is exceptional at what it does. If you're looking for a LinkedIn only outreach tool, HeyReach gets the job done. For $79 per LinkedIn seat, it's a pretty reliable tool, gets the job done, but the price, again, can be a bit of a limiting factor, because you have to pay $79 per seat up until you have 25 seats. Now, at 25 seats, you're typically an agency or managing a bunch of clients. And honestly, at that scale, you can find, options that cost, a little less than HeyReach. So for that reason, the fact that it's only it's only LinkedIn, it's not email at all. It's only one channel. I'm going to have to put it B tier. Now, the next up on this list, it's actually going to surprise you, and it is going to be Apollo, which is going to D tier. Now, Apollo, the main reason I've added Apollo to D tier, to be honest, is because this is a cold outreach tool video, not a lead finding tool video. If this was a lead finding tool video, I'd still probably put Apollo B, because, there's so many complaints about the data quality these days. But other than that, Apollo, as a sequencer, as a cold outreach tool, is really one of the biggest rookie mistakes you can make, right? Apollo is great for finding leads, but again, it is not reliable, and it's not something you can scale up your cold outreach with. It's also email only, which means if you want to do LinkedIn outreach campaigns, you cannot easily do that natively on the Apollo platform. But in terms of finding leads, a lot of people use Apollo just for that, but use another tool for sequencing. And the other tool could be something like Smartlead, which I am going to put in A tier. Now, the reason I've put Smartlead in A tier is honestly because Smartlead is pretty reliable. Smartlead only does email, so it's not multi-channel. Again, that is unfortunate, but it does email and does it pretty well. It's reliable. It has warm-up. It provides an inbox, and also provides, again, warm-up for your inbox. The problem is, I think Smartlead gates a lot of their important features that you typically want to use behind their pricing. So you have to use higher tiers to get some of the things that you would typically want to use. And Instantly does the same thing, but I'm going to put Instantly in B tier. And the reason for that is, honestly, Instantly has been the king of cold emailing for a good while now. They were one of the first people to start this, in the B2B space. And in my opinion, they have fallen off. And the reason Instantly has fallen off is because their tool is just not as reliable as it used to be. And the same issues, for you to get it to work as well as you want it to, you might have to subscribe to their VIP programs, which are upwards of $8,000, right? So starting off, again, Instantly super easy to use, but just not the most reliable, just not the most effective cold emailing tool on the market right now. But apart from Instantly and Smartly, I'm going to go back to another LinkedIn outreach tool, and this time it is a newer one, and it is Gojiberry. Now, Gojiberry AI, it is a recent tool. I'm going to have to put it in C tier. And again, the reason is it is only one channel. It only does LinkedIn. It's a bit of a newer tool than HeyReach. It's been around the market for about a year. Good feedback regarding it. Although Gojiberry is a little less expensive than HeyReach, it's about $99, but you do get 2 sending accounts. Now, as for Gojiberry's website, they don't really have a scaled plan. They do have an enterprise contact thing, right? But there's no information that you can find in terms of how much you can expect to pay per seat as you scale up. But again, Gojiberry is LinkedIn only, and it's not something you're going to be able to scale up your go-to market outreach campaigns with. If you're looking for something that's, set it and forget it and just gets you some warm intent, high intent leads on the daily or on the weekly, then Gojiberry is easy to do. It's easy to use and set up, and is probably beginner friendly out of all the tools here, right? Now, moving on. Now, if you're looking for something, again, you want to do, multi-channel stuff, you would probably find Lemlist. Now, Lemlist, I'm going to put in A tier because Lemlist, again, covers multiple channels all in one place. So if you want to do email outreach, you can do it on Lemlist. If you want to do LinkedIn outreach, you can do it on Lemlist. Same thing with WhatsApp. And the problem, again, with Lemlist is the pricing is kind of out of whack. Now, Lemlist has per user pricing or per seat pricing, which again is true for all the other tools. But for Lemlist, again, to really be able to use our multi-channels features, even though it says you have to pay $7 a month to actually do cold email outreach there, you're going to have to pay a little bit more. But now moving on to our first S tier of the list, you are going to get Salesforge. Now, Salesforge is a really incredible tool. It's super comprehensive. It covers almost everything you typically want to do for a go-to-market stack. And I mean, funnily enough, Salesforge actually supplies a lot of the infrastructure for a bunch of the other tools inside the market, not necessarily the ones on this list, but a bunch of other tools. Otherwise, it's a reliable tool, especially if you're building out your own custom, comprehensive set of systems. Salesforge is pretty good to use there. And A tier, I will put another email sequencing tool, and this time it is Email Bison. Email Bison is one of the best email tools out there on the market, right, for email outreach campaigns. The only reason I'm not putting Email Bison S tier is because it is a little trickier to use and get started with and get set up with relative to some of the other tools like Instantly or Smartlead, right? That is the only reason it's bumped down from an S tier to an A tier. But other than that, Email Bison is an exceptional tool. I mean, if you ask the founder yourself, he'll probably tell you to use an easier tool if you're starting off, like Instantly or Smartly or some of the other ones. But other than that, yeah, pretty good tool. Now, moving on to the final startup inside this list, I'm going to talk about BrandJet. Now, BrandJet, I think I'm going to probably have to put this somewhere in S tier. And the reason I'm going to put that in S tier is simple. BrandJet is multi-channel, which means, again, it covers all the outreach channels that you typically want to do, and it is natively integrated, right? Which basically means that all the different outreach campaigns you have to do, including finding your leads, prospecting high intent ones, or setting up an AI SDR agent, a bunch of the use cases that some of these other tools have, you can do directly inside of BrandJet. But the real reason it's S tier is honestly because it has a very comprehensive AI layer, or an MCP server / agent, whatever you want to call it, right? Now, just by plugging that into Claude, you can practically do any workflow you can see across these other tools, and for a much, much lower price. The BrandJet starter plan starts at $79, right, which is the same as the lowest price across this entire tier list. But the BrandJet starter plan also has unlimited email sends and lets you find high intent leads for free, which is honestly one of the main reasons I put it on top. Also because it takes 3 minutes to start a campaign, start to finish.